Today I have gathered you all to talk about something that's been part of my life for a year and a half now, or maybe even longer. It's not completed yet, it's nowhere near completion, but it's something that has taken over my brain. It's never left my brain, it's taken over it. It's been with me through depression, through family breakups, through death. It's followed my life for the past year and a half. But there's a truth behind it, and there's a story behind my story. So this is the story behind Silent Skies. So Silent Skies started one afternoon in late summer in 2025. I think somewhere around January 15th. Keep in mind, I've never read a book before. I've never read a book. I owned heaps, but I've never read them because I just can't. My brain can't focus on them. But for some reason, I picked up my MacBook and I just started writing. I didn't have any idea about the characters, about the plot, about anything. I just wrote. And I didn't stop writing for months. And that's what led to this, the first edition of Silent Skies. Now, as you could probably tell, the cover isn't the best. The cover's actually evolved a lot. I'll show a photo here. The cover has evolved heaps, and right now is my favorite cover, of course. I'll pop that on screen as well. The most important thing is that I was writing a book. I was actually writing a book. Now keep in mind, I had always gotten bad grades in school. I've never really been much for writing, never much for maths, all that stuff. But as soon as I put my fingers on that keyboard, something sparked in me. I've always had a great imagination. I've always dreamt of stories. When I used to be on the trampoline, I used to jump, and every time I would be on there for hours creating stories in my head about slinky men, about portals, and some of those have actually transferred into this book. Not, of course, the slinky men or the portals, but some ideas that I created when I was younger have actually transferred into this book and into some future books I'll be writing. But I just put my fingers to the keyboard and just wrote. For the first few pages, I didn't even have a character. I barely even had a plot. I was just writing the opening scene to a book. And then slowly I started to evolve what I knew and what I loved into an incredibly inspirational story about two teenagers in a lost city. Now, this is the first edition of the book I had received. It didn't even have a blurb. And it was too big, it was too much, but it meant so much to me at the time. This is actually, someone's gone through and edited all of this, my old English teacher. But the blurb was, when all hope is lost, a young boy turns to the stars in order to restore hope in the city's inhabitants. That idea spiraled into something amazing. But let me get into how the characters evolved, how everything evolved. So, I didn't actually come up with a name for the characters. The two main characters is Axel and Zanik. Weird names, right? I actually asked a Telstra support worker on Instagram to come up with the names of the characters. And they came up with Axel and Zanik, which relate back to old 90s video games, which I thought was perfect for a story about old technology and a future where the world is destroyed. I thought that was perfect. So, Axel and Zanik evolved so much as I was writing the book. The first time I put their name in, they were kind of just shells of human. And by, I don't even know what page I'm at, I think I'm at like 136, they have evolved into people who you would think are real, who you wouldn't think were in a book. And as you can see, it was edited heaps. It looks a mess. There's a bunch of pages that have flipped over little, a bunch of pages that just have scribbles all over them, words, underlining, crossing out. And then at the end, there's a little note. So I took this editing seriously, and then I invested in another copy. So I've been publishing on Amazon. I invested in another copy, which is much smaller, as you can see. And this is the copy that really, really made me fall in love with Silent Skies. I actually used to upload dozens of TikToks of me writing Silent Skies, of me pulling little prompts out of a jar and writing what the prompts say. It was actually a really fun time. Of course I wasn't too popular. I gained about 1,000 followers. And I would wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning and write. And then I would go to school, I would write in English. And then I would go home, I would nap, and then I would write. Like, I was writing all the time. I had a little routine to write. Every night at about from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. I would sit in my kitchen and just write. And I would be writing about 3,000 words a night. Now, yes, half of those words I've deleted because they were all useless. But still, I would just write. And then as soon as I got this copy, my first burnout struck. So burnout is what happens when a writer can't write anymore. And I experienced it hard. My first burnout lasted about 3 months. I wouldn't write at all. I wouldn't even pick up the book. I was still making TikToks pretending I was writing. I would read the book every single night to write, but I just couldn't put my fingers on that keyboard and write. My brain just could not come up with anything. I couldn't edit. I legit just couldn't do anything. My brain felt fried. And that lasted about 3 months. And in those 3 months, I hated myself. I hated that I couldn't write. And then I realized that I pushed myself too hard at the start. And that's why I was experiencing this burnout. So I had to slow down. I had to teach my brain not to want to write every night, but just to write whenever I wanted to. And then I slowly got back into a rhythm. But that rhythm hasn't been the same since I first started writing. I'm in quite a burnout right now. I've been in a burnout for about, I would say 9 months. I have not written for about 9 months. It's been the biggest burnout. And every time I open it, there's ideas flowing through my head. In bed when I'm going to sleep. My dreams are about Silent Skies. I've already created the second book, fully fleshed out, fully plot driven. But I can't start writing that until I write this book. And during these burnouts, I would create so many ideas for so many other books. I've got about 60 waiting to be written. And I'm not going to be able to do that if I can't even finish one book. But after my second burnout, I started writing a little bit more. And this is the last copy I ever got. And this was months ago. It does actually have a blurb on this one. But this was months ago. And now that I read through it, I realize that some of my writing hasn't been great. Keep in mind, this is coming from someone who's never read a book. So I don't know how books usually are written. I write this book like I'm writing a movie. So every scene can be transferred into a movie. That's my biggest dream, having this turned into a movie. So after the second burnout, when I started writing again and then got this copy, this is when the massive burnout started, which is really sad because this copy I was so happy with when I got it because it was so thick. I mean, these are all the words I wrote. I wrote every single one of these words. And it's just such a magical feeling holding something you wrote. But I just can't seem to finish it. Now, in about halfway through 2025, I experienced severe depression. And it has taken me I've experienced depression a lot in my life, but it's taken me a long time to get out of this specific depression. I've started taking antidepressants, which has helped. My cat's just opened the door. I started on citalopram, then I went to mirtazapine, and now I'm on sertraline. Hi! Hello? Come here. And now I'm on sertraline, and that's helped heaps. So I would say I'm out of the depression. And now I'm just finding ways to get back into my old life, to really have motivation to pick up the book and write. I haven't had motivation for quite a while, but I'm starting to get the motivation back. I've been vlogging every day. Goodbye. I've been vlogging every day, and that's been a real good motivation. It's really helped me look at my book and say, what do I want to do? When am I going to start writing again? And I'm starting a routine where I am starting to write again, and I'm getting back into it, which is so exciting. I've created a website. I actually created the website a few months into creating Silent Skies, but now I am, touching it up and getting back into it, updating the website, and I've got an estimated arrival time for the book, December, which is about 4 months away, which is a lot, I know, but it's also been a lot for me to get into this book again, to start realizing that this could genuinely change my life. It already has in so many ways, but if I actually post this, it could change my life. If I genuinely publish that and get it out into the world, I've already got a few people who want to buy it. It's going up in a few libraries already once it is finished. So I'm so excited for that. It's always been a beacon of hope through my depression, this book, through my life and through the changes and through the sadness and through the anger. It's always been sitting in the background of my mind, just ready to be explored again. And it's a project that I normally stop my projects halfway through and give up. I'm not going to give up on this book. I'm going to finish this book. I'm going to release this book, and then I'm going to write more books, because this is something I want to do. This is the future I want. I've just got to get myself to be there. And of course, my writing has improved so much from the beginning. Let me read the first page from the editorial edition and from my newest edition. I lay on the cold, overgrown rooftop of what used to be a skyscraper, now just a hollow ghost shadowing over how the city was years ago. The brisk air smelled of rust and dampness, a stale reminder of a world slowly falling apart. Above me, the sky was a deep, endless grey, as it always has been, silent, heavy, and dead. But tonight, a single star blinked down at me through a rare gap in the almost infinite smog. It was faint, but it was enough. Enough to remind me that somewhere out there, hope still existed. Or maybe it didn't. Perhaps it was me just trying to believe in something long lost by myself. I sit up, dizzy from the low oxygen levels this high in the atmosphere. I look down below at the ruined city plunged into darkness without any source of power left. I flick my head up to the far horizon. Nothing but darkness through silhouettes of other skyscrapers, cutting through the dim light of the moon, barely shining through the smog. And that's page 1 there. And let me go grab my laptop, because it's got like the actual edition. So this is the most updated edition I have. Chapter 1, The City That Once Was. I'm lying down on the cold, overgrown rooftop of what used to be a skyscraper, now just a hollow ghost shadowing over how the city was years ago. The brisk air smells of rust and dampness, a stale reminder of the world slowly falling apart. Above me, the skies are deep, endless grey, as it always has been, silent, heavy, and dead. But tonight, a single star blinks through a rare gap in the almost infinite smog. It is faint, but it's enough to remind me that somewhere out there, hope still existed. Or maybe it didn't. Perhaps it was just me trying to believe in something long lost by myself. I sit up, dizzy from the low oxygen at this height. I flick my head towards the horizon, nothing but darkness cutting through silhouettes of abandoned skyscrapers. After the dizziness fades away, I stand up with the wind gently blowing through my hair. Up here, I feel alive, nearly forgetting that I haven't had any fresh water in over a week, or any form of food for that matter. So there's not much difference in the actual structure, but the grammar, the tenses, all that has changed so much. I've deleted heaps of things that were in this book that's now not in the modern book. So I've deleted a lot, I've changed a lot, and the evolution of my book is really what keeps me going back to it. I'm so proud of what it's becoming. I'm so proud of what it's already become, and I'm really looking forward to what this could be in the future. Now, saying that, it's not easy writing a book. If you are planning on it, I want you to go into it with the mentality that you're not going to give up, because you're gonna experience burnout. You're gonna experience difficulties in life that will stop you from writing. You're gonna experience tiredness, but that's all just things you kind of need to experience to write a book. No debut novel has ever been written, I'm sure, that went smoothly. That went completely smoothly. It's a struggle, grammar's a struggle, but at the same time, it's what makes a book a book. If you asked AI to write a book, it could do it flawlessly, but it won't have any soul behind it. It won't have its own little twinges like most authors have, like I have in my book. So writing this book has been a journey, and it will continue being a journey until it's done. It's evolved so much, so much. Axel and Zanuck has evolved. We've even got another character that was introduced later in the book, spoiler alert, but her name's Megan. She's only there for a brief amount of time, but that's another character that I've chucked in the book, and they have all evolved so much. The setting has evolved. At first it was just a city with no inhabitants, because it's dystopian, and now it's a city that has no inhabitants because of a war that's broken out, and the city's last living inhabitants, they're dangerous. Some don't want hope, some are wary, and it's just created these layers to this book that are so special. The storms have evolved. They used to just be storms, and now they've got names. Now they've got regularity. The chapters have evolved. I'm up to chapter, let's have a peek, shall we? So I'm up to chapter 14, A World Too Cruel. So that has evolved with the book. Every single chapter has a little name underneath it. And once I edit this book, believe you me, I'll be ordering another copy. At first it was just going to be a paperback book, but I've created a hardcover copy, which I love. It's much different from this, but it's got its own uniqueness and it still relates perfectly to the story. So I hope you stick around on my channel, watch the evolution of this book grow, watch how it's changed my life, and maybe even yours if it one day comes out and you read it. Yeah, so that's the story behind my story. If you want me to go more into depth, I will. This is just a quick little video I wanted to create to get you into the world of Silent Skies, to introduce you to our characters Axel and Zanuck. But yeah, if you're going to write a book, I wish you so much luck. And if you're going to read my book, it will surely be out by December. I'm going to make myself come out of this slump. I do not want burnout anymore. I want to be my creative self again. So thank you for watching this video. Sorry if it seems a little rushed or the audio's weird or something. This is kind of my first video I filmed like this, but it definitely won't be my last. So I will see you next time.